I once owned 3 houses. Today, everything I own fits in a shopping cart. My name is Marcus. I'm 46, a property manager, and I sleep under an overpass now. 2 years ago, I collected rent from 36 tenants and had business cards with gold letters. My daughter practiced her dance routines in our living room. People see me pushing this cart and think I never had anything. They're wrong. It didn't start with losing houses. It started at my brother-in-law's Super Bowl party, with everyone laughing and my wife making dip in the kitchen. He called me soft, boring since I got sober. So I downloaded an app on my phone, just to shut him up. $100 bet. The Ravens didn't cover. By midnight, I was down 3,000, locked in the bathroom, trying to win back my daughter's dance class money. The lies got easier. The bets got bigger. I started using tenant security deposits as temporary loans to myself. Then the banks started calling. Then my wife found the credit card I'd hidden. Let me tell you about the 6 months between that party and pushing this card, and the moment I used my last friend's check at a casino instead of saving my house. When you've been clean for 6 years, what makes you think the 7th year will be different? The Ravens needed to cover by 7 points. That's all. 7 points, and Kyle would shut up about how I'd gotten boring since I married his sister. We were at Kyle's place for the Super Bowl, February 2023. His new house in Summerlin with the pool table in the basement and the 85-inch TV that made you feel like you were on the field. Sarah was in the kitchen making her 7-layer dip, the one everyone always asked her to bring. Emma was at a sleepover, probably painting her nails purple and talking about which boys in 7th grade were cute. Remember when you used to be fun? Kyle said, handing me another Coors Light I didn't want. His face was already red from drinking since noon. Before Sarah domesticated you? The other guys laughed. Derek was there, trying to stay neutral because he'd been my friend since freshman year at Valley High. Brad from down the street. Kyle's work buddies who I'd never bothered learning the names of. They all had money on the game. Prop bets, parlays, over-unders. Numbers flying around like a math class I'd forgotten how to solve. I'm plenty fun, I said, but it came out defensive. Yeah? When's the last time you had real money on a game? Kyle pulled out his phone, waved it at me. Come on, $100. Ravens cover, you win. Chiefs keep it close, I win. I don't do that anymore. Right. Because Sarah keeps your balls in her purse. 6 years. That's how long I'd been clean from gambling. 6 years, 3 months, and 11 days if you wanted to get specific. I'd quit cold turkey after I lost $8,000 on a UFC fight, back when Emma was in 1st grade and needed braces. Sarah didn't know about that loss. I'd borrowed from my retirement, told her it was for a property investment that fell through. But 6 years was a long time. I was different now, stronger. I owned 3 rental properties, had 36 tenants who paid me every month like clockwork. My business cards said senior property manager in raised letters you could feel with your thumb. Fine, I said, but I need to set up an account. Takes 2 minutes. Kyle grinned like he'd won something. I went out to the garage, where Kyle kept his beer fridge and his golf clubs he never used. Downloaded FanDuel on my phone. My hands shook a little as I entered my credit card information. The one Sarah didn't check because it was supposed to be for business expenses only. Just $100. Less than I spent on a nice dinner with Sarah. Way less than one tenant's late fee. I could win, shut Kyle up, delete the app, and go back to my boring life. The Ravens were up by 3 at halftime. I should have been happy, but the spread was 7, and 3 wasn't 7. The app showed me other bets I could make. Live bets. Second half totals. Next team to score. Bathroom. I told Derek, but I went back to the garage instead. If the Ravens scored first in the 3rd quarter, I'd win enough to cover the 100 even if they didn't cover the spread. It was smart. A hedge. The kind of thing a property manager would do with investments. The Chiefs scored first. And second, by the time Sarah came downstairs with her dip, I was down 500. She smiled at me, touched my shoulder as she set the bowl on the coffee table. You okay? You look stressed. Just the game, I said. Since when do you care about football? I refreshed the app under the table. The Ravens were driving. If they scored here and got the 2-point conversion, if the Chiefs didn't score again, if the clock ran out right, they didn't score. The Chiefs did. Twice more. In the 4th quarter, I went to the bathroom for real this time and sat on Kyle's stupid heated toilet seat, staring at my phone. Down 1,200. I could deposit more, bet the Chiefs to win by 14 or more. The odds were good now because everyone thought the game was over. But if the Ravens scored a meaningless touchdown, I deposited another thousand. Then another. By the time the confetti fell on the field, I was down $3,000. $3,000 that was supposed to be in the account for Emma's dance classes, her recital costume, her competition fees. Sarah knocked on the bathroom door. Marcus? You okay in there? I looked at myself in Kyle's mirror. 46 years old. Property manager. Husband. Father. 3,000 in the hole because I couldn't let my drunk brother-in-law call me boring. Just a minute. I called back, already thinking about tomorrow's NBA games. 3 weeks later, I had a system. Check the odds while making coffee at 5:45 a.m. before Sarah woke up. Placed the morning bets during my first property inspection at the Henderson duplex. Update the parlays between showing the vacant unit at the fourplex. Cash out or double down during lunch in my truck, parked behind the subway where the Wi-Fi was free and strong. My office at home had become command central. 3 monitors that used to show property spreadsheets and maintenance schedules now had tabs open to FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, and Caesars. I'd signed up for all of them. New customer bonuses at each one. Free money, basically, if you knew what you were doing, and I knew what I was doing. I understood numbers. Cap rates, cash-on-cash returns, internal rates of return. Sports betting was just another kind of math. The Lakers were 7-2 against the spread at home this season. The under hit in 68% of Nuggets games. Patrick Mahomes was 19-3 in games where he was getting points. Misses. Chun called while I was watching the Nuggets collapse in the third quarter. Sweet Mrs. Chun from the Henderson duplex, who always paid her rent 3 days early and grew the most beautiful tomatoes in the courtyard. Mr. Marcus, I'm so sorry to bother you, she said in her soft voice. But the pipe under the sink is making that sound again. The Nuggets were supposed to be up by 12. They were down by 3. I'd bet 500 on them to cover. What sound? I asked, refreshing the score. Like a grumbling? And there's a little water on the floor. Down by 5 now. Jokic missed a free throw. I'll get someone out there tomorrow, I said. Oh, thank you. You're always so helpful. Did I tell you my granddaughter got into UNLV? Pre-med. That's great, Mrs. Chun. Down 7. How are they down 7? I scheduled the plumber in my phone like I always did. Except when I hung up, I didn't call him. The repair would cost maybe 300. That 300 could be 600 if I put it on the Lakers game tonight. Then I could pay the plumber and pocket the extra. The Nuggets lost by 12. The Lakers lost by 3. I was entering the Mariners-Astros bet when Sarah walked into my office without knocking. I minimized the browser, but not fast enough. What was that? She asked. Property stuff. Tenant portal. She came around the desk. I'd closed the betting tabs, but forgot about the credit card statement in my email. The one showing a $4,800 balance on a card that was supposed to be zeroed out. Sarah picked up the laptop, turned it toward her. The silence felt like waiting for an X-ray result. What is this? It's not what it looks like. It looks like you maxed out the business card. There were some unexpected expenses. The fourplex needed, don't. She set the laptop down carefully, like it might explode. Emma's in the living room, doing homework. So you're going to tell me the truth, quietly, right now. I could have lied better. Could have talked about property taxes, emergency repairs, market fluctuations. I knew all the words. But Sarah's face had this expression I'd never seen before. Not angry. Disappointed was too small a word. She looked like she was watching something die. It's under control, I said. What's under control? I made some bets. Just a few. I'm actually up overall if you count. You're gambling again. Not a question. It's not like before. I'm being smart about it. I have spreadsheets. She laughed, but it sounded like breaking glass. Spreadsheets. Emma appeared in the doorway, algebra textbook in her hand. Why is Mom crying? Sarah wasn't crying. But when Emma said it, she started. Quiet tears that she wiped away quickly. Mom's fine, honey. Go finish your homework. Emma looked at me, then at her mom, then back at me. 12 years old, and she knew everything in that moment. Kids always do. After Emma left, Sarah pulled up our bank accounts on her phone. The main checking. The savings that was supposed to be for vacation. The money market account for Emma's college. How much? She asked. It's temporary. I just need to how much? I told her. Part of it. The credit cards, at least. Not the advances. Not the borrowed maintenance funds. Not the fact that we were 60 days behind on the mortgage for the fourplex. She stood up, straightened her shirt, fixed her hair like she was going somewhere important. Sarah, please, let me explain the system. I'm taking Emma to my mother's for the weekend, she said. When we get back, you need to have a plan. A real plan. With numbers I can verify. I can fix this. She stopped at the door. The last time you said that, Emma was 6. She's 12 now, Marcus. 12. After they left, I sat in my office watching the Mariners blow a 5-run lead. My phone buzzed with an alert from FanDuel. Deposit bonus available. 50% match up to $1,000. Free money. Basically, I took it. Derek ordered the Grand Slam like he always had, every Sunday morning at this Denny's since we were kids. Same booth too. The one by the window where you could watch people heading to the casinos with hope and leaving with nothing. You look like shit, he said. Thanks. When's the last time you slept? 2 days ago, maybe 3. Hard to tell when you're up watching Korean baseball at 4 a.m. because it's the only action available and you need to win back what you lost on the Lakers. Sarah left, I said. For good. She took Emma to Phoenix. Her mom's place. Derek's coffee stopped halfway to his mouth. How long? 2 weeks now. Jesus, Marcus. The waitress brought my pancakes. They looked like foam circles. Everything tasted like foam lately. I need a loan, I said. Derek set down his fork. We'd known each other 31 years. He'd been my best man. I'd been his. Our daughters were in the same dance class, or had been, before I stopped paying for Emma's lessons. How much? 1,500,000. He laughed, then saw my face. You're serious. The Henderson duplex is in foreclosure. If I can catch up the payments, I can sell it clean, use the equity to fix everything else. Everything else being, I told him about the fourplex, the Max cards, the business credit line I'd taken out without telling Sarah, not the gambling. I made it sound like bad timing, soft rental market, unexpected repairs. Property managers have bad months. Sometimes bad years. It happens. What about the Summerlin place? He asked. That one's okay. It wasn't. I was pulling from Emma's college fund to make those payments. But Derek didn't need to know that he pulled out his checkbook. Just like that. Wrote $15,000 on a check from his business account, the one with his contractor logo on it. This is from Taylor's college fund, he said. My daughter's future. I'll pay it back with interest. I don't want interest. I want you to get help. I am. This is help. He slid the check across the table. I mean real help. Like before. That was different. Was it? I took the check, folded it carefully. 3 months, you'll have it back. I better. We finished breakfast talking about other things. His business was good. New developments going up everywhere. Money flowing like water if you knew where to stand with your bucket. He didn't ask what happened to all my rental income. I didn't tell him I'd been using it to chase worse and worse bets. After Derek left, I sat in my truck in the Denny's parking lot, holding the check. $15,000. My best friend's daughter's college money. The smart play was to drive straight to Bank of America, deposit it, call the mortgage company, set up a payment plan. Get the Henderson duplex out of foreclosure, list it next week, maybe clear $60,000 in equity after everything. Use that to catch up the fourplex, pay Derek back. Have enough left to get Sarah and Emma home. Instead, I drove to the Wynn. The sports book was beautiful at 11 a.m. Quiet. Professional. Not like the sad little books at off-strip casinos. This was where real players came. The board showed lines for everything. NBA, college basketball, hockey, soccer, tennis. Games in countries I couldn't find on a map that I knew what I was doing was wrong. Knew it while I walked to the cage. Knew it while I signed the check over. Knew it while I took the chips to the book and studied the board like it was a prayer. But wrong and stupid aren't the same thing. Wrong was taking Derek's money. Stupid would be not using it to win enough to fix everything. The system was solid. I'd bet favorites on the money line, parlayed together. 6 favorites. All had to win, but they were favorites for a reason. The payout was only 3-1, but that would turn 15 into 45. 45 would fix everything with enough left over to actually be ahead. Celtics over Pistons. Sure thing. Avalanche over Coyotes. Lock. Duke over Wake Forest. Practically free money. Liverpool over Burnley. Couldn't miss. Nadal over some Russian kid I'd never heard of. Nadal always won. Dodgers over Marlins in spring training. The Dodgers spent more on their bench than the Marlins spent on their whole team. I placed the bet. $15,000 to win $45,000. Then I went to the bar and ordered a Coke because I didn't drink anymore. That was the old Marcus. The one with problems. The Celtics won by 20. The Avalanche won in overtime. Duke destroyed Wake Forest. Liverpool was up 2-0 at halftime. I moved from the bar to the book, watching the board. Other bettors nodded at me, recognized a player who knew what he was doing. One guy asked for my picks. I felt like a professor teaching a class. Liverpool won 3-1. Nadal took the first set 6-2.4 down, 2 to go. I was already spending the money in my head. Pay Derek back with an extra $5,000 for his trouble. Catch up the mortgages. Put $10,000 in a new account Sarah didn't know about for emergencies. Nadal lost the second set in a tiebreak. He's fine, the guy next to me said. Nadal always drops a set, then crushes them in the third. The Russian kid was 20 years old. Served like a machine gun. Nadal looked tired, old. When was the last time I'd watched tennis? Did I even know how scoring worked? Nadal lost 2-6, 7-6, 6-4 at the Dodgers game hadn't started yet. 5 legs of my parlay hit, 1 missed. The ticket was worthless. $15,000 became nothing because some Russian kid I'd never heard of played the match of his life that I went to the bathroom and threw up. Washed my face with the fancy soap. The attendant offered me a towel, expected a tip. I gave him my last $5. Back at the book, they were showing the Dodgers game. They lost too, but it didn't matter. The ticket was already dead. I sat in my truck in the parking garage until 3 a.m. when security knocked on my window, told me I couldn't sleep there. I wasn't sleeping. I was doing math. How to tell Derek. How to tell Sarah. How to tell myself this wasn't who I was now. My phone had 17 missed calls. 3 from Derek. 6 from Sarah. 8 from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't call any of them back. The divorce papers were on the kitchen counter when I got home, weighted down by the coffee maker we'd gotten as a wedding gift. Sarah had been back while I was sleeping off another 3-day bender of Korean baseball and European soccer. Moving day was scheduled for Friday. Sarah's lawyer had been specific about what I could take: clothes, personal items from before the marriage, office equipment. Nothing from Emma's room. Nothing we'd bought together. Nothing that might be considered a marital asset. Derek showed up with his truck even though I hadn't asked. He didn't mention the $15,000. We both knew it was gone. You want help? Brad called from across the street. He was washing his Tesla, watching the show. We're good. I said that I wasn't good. My hands shook as I packed boxes. Everything smelled like failure. Old cologne bottles, college textbooks I'd kept for no reason. The Navy uniform I hadn't worn in 20 years. That Emma's room was at the end of the hall. Door open, afternoon light hitting her dance trophies. First place, regionals, age group 10 to 12, jazz solo. I'd missed that competition. Told Sarah I had a property emergency. Really, I was at the book, watching the Warriors blow a 20-point lead. I found our wedding album in the garage. Sarah in her grandmother's dress. Me thinking I was the luckiest man alive. I took one photo from it. Us laughing at the cake cutting, frosting on her nose, and slipped it in my wallet. That everything? Derek asked. 14 boxes. 2 suitcases. 1 desk chair. My entire life in half a truck bed. The extended stay motel was off Tropicana, near the airport. Planes every 10 minutes, rattling the windows. $79 a night, weekly rate. The room smelled like other people's disappointments and the smoke they claimed wasn't allowed. Derek helped me carry everything up to the second floor. The elevator was broken, or maybe it had never worked. You need money? He asked. No. I had $1,847 left. Cash I'd hidden from Sarah, from myself, from the spreadsheets that showed I was drowning. Marcus, I'm fine. He left without saying goodbye. I sat on the bed that felt like cardboard and counted the money again. $1,847. That was 23 nights at this place. 3 weeks to figure out how to get back to even. To get Sarah back. To see Emma dance again. My phone buzzed. FanDuel Daily Fantasy Promo. Turned $20 into $10,000. I deleted the app, downloaded it again an hour later. The courthouse auctioneer had a voice like a game show host. Made losing everything sound like winning a prize. Property ID 45-78B. Fourplex located at 4257 Maryland Parkway. Minimum bid set at $342,000. I stood in the back row. The fourplex my father and I bought together 8 years ago, 2 months before his diagnosis. We'd driven around looking at properties every Sunday after church. This one had good bones, he said. Solid foundation. Just needed some love. The cancer took him in 6 months. He never saw what we did with the place. New windows, desert landscaping, upgraded kitchens in all 4 units. I used to drive him past it during chemo, tell him about the improvements. He'd nod and smile, pretending he could see clearly through the morphine haze. Do I hear $342,000? A kid in a suit raised his paddle. Couldn't be 30. Hair slicked back like a movie about Wall Street. $350,000. A woman with a laptop, typing while she bid. Probably had a spreadsheet showing projected returns, flipped timeline, profit margins. $360,000. They went back and forth. The kid, the woman, an older guy who looked bored. None of them knew about the foundation crack in Unit 3 that Dad insisted we fix right, even when the contractor said we could just patch it. None of them knew Mrs. Rodriguez in Unit 1 had lived there for 15 years, had nowhere else to go. Final sale. $387,000 to the kid and his girlfriend. They high-fived. She took a selfie with him holding the certificate. I followed them to the parking lot. Almost told them about the foundation. About Mrs. Rodriguez. About how my dad's last real smile was when I showed him pictures of the new windows. Instead, I watched them drive away in a white Tesla with dealer plates. The security guard at the entrance nodded at me. Raymond. He'd been there when I used to file liens for unpaid rent. Back when I was on the other side of the auction. Sorry, Mr. Marcus, he said quietly. It's fine. It wasn't fine. I sat in my truck and called the mortgage company about the Summerlin house. The woman's voice was professionally sympathetic. You're 90 days past due, Mr. Thompson. We've sent several notices. I know. I can pay next week. You said that last week. This time's different. It wasn't different. I had $342 left. The extended stay wanted their weekly payment tomorrow. I'd already sold everything worth selling except my truck, and that was next. The eviction notice was under my door when I got back. Pay or quit. 24 hours. I didn't have either option. Yelena's pawn shop was wedged between a massage parlor and a check cashing place. The holy trinity of desperation. My father's watch went first. A Rolex Submariner he'd saved for 20 years to buy. Wore it every day, even in the hospital. Left it to me because I was his only son, his legacy, his future. 600, Yelena said. Russian accent thick as motor oil. It's worth 10,000. Not to me. She was right. Nothing was worth what we thought anymore. I took the cash. The cufflinks were next. Also Dad's. Wore them to my wedding, his funeral, every important moment between. 50. They're gold. Plated. Behind her on the wall were licenses. Pawnbroker, second-hand dealer, precious metals. Next to them, barely visible, an old property management certification. We'd taken the same course, apparently. Different times, different lives. She saw me looking. Our eyes met. She added another 50 to the pile without saying anything. You need anything else? She asked. No. I had nothing else. The Walmart parking lot seemed safe for sleeping. Open 24 hours. Lots of cars. Security that didn't care. I pushed the driver's seat back, used my jacket as a pillow. By 3 a.m., my legs were cramped, my back screaming. The security guard tapped on my window with a flashlight. Can't. Sleep here. I'm just resting. Rest. Somewhere else. I drove to Lake Mead. Same spot where I'd proposed to Sarah 12 years ago. Sun came up over the water like it was any other day. I had $892 left. The pawn money plus the last of my cash. Enough for a security deposit somewhere. Enough for 2 weeks of motels. Enough to eat for a month if I was careful. Or enough for one last bet to fix everything. The Terribles Casino was the kind of place where nobody asked questions. Off-strip, locals only, machines older than Emma. The sports book was just a counter with 3 screens and a bored woman reading a romance novel. I studied the board. NBA playoffs. Hockey finals. Baseball everywhere. I needed something sure, something that would turn $892 into enough to matter. 5-team parlay. All favorites. All money lines. Boston, Tampa, Dodgers, Avalanche, Bucks. $892 to win $8,100. You sure? The woman asked, not looking up from her book. Yeah, I wasn't sure. But sure and desperate looked the same from the outside. Boston won. Tampa won. Dodgers were up 4-0 in the 7th. I sat at the bar, Drinking Coke because I still didn't drink alcohol. That was still my line. The thing that made me different from the real addicts playing slots with their oxygen tanks. Dodgers won. Avalanche went to overtime. Overtime in Game 7. Season on the line. My life on the line. Avalanche lost that I walked out with nothing. No money, no plan, no home. My truck had maybe 10 miles of gas left. The shopping cart was behind CVS, half buried in old sale flyers. It pulled to the left, but the wheels worked. Everything I owned fit inside it. The geography of homelessness has its own map. Libraries that let you stay if you pretend to read. Casinos where one beer buys you 3 hours of air conditioning. Churches that serve without sermons. I learned it all in my first week on the street. The Central Library opened at 10 a.m. If you got there right when they opened, grabbed a book, any book, and sat in the back corner. You could stay until 8 p.m. 10 hours of safety, bathrooms with soap, water fountains that worked. I picked up Property Management for Dummies the first day. Some cosmic joke. Sat there reading about cash flow and tenant screening while my smell got worse and my clothes got looser. The security guard was named Dante. Young guy, probably 25. He'd walk by every hour, check if people were actually reading or just sleeping with their eyes open. "You okay, sir?" He asked on day 3. "Just reading." "You were here yesterday. And the day before." "I like to read." He looked at my book, then at me. Property Management. Shopping cart parked outside where he could see it through the window. "Bathroom's getting cleaned in 5 minutes," he said. "Might want to use it now. Maybe clean up a little." Code. He was giving me code. Bathroom was empty. Nobody would bother me. Wash what you can. I spent 20 minutes with the soap and paper towels. Washed my face, my hands, under my arms. Brushed my teeth with my finger. Tried to make my hair look like I'd styled it instead of slept on it. The mirror showed a stranger. Gray stubble, hollow eyes, skin like old paper. When did I become someone people gave warnings to? Caesar's Palace was next. The sports book there was huge, anonymous. If you bought one beer, $8, insane, and nursed it, you could sit for the entire afternoon slate of games. Watch the boards, watch the bettors, watch your old life happening to other people. A guy sat next to me, studied his phone. "You like the Nets tonight?" he asked. "I don't bet anymore." Smart. He wasn't smart. Put 5,000 on the Nets to cover. They lost by 15. He crumpled his ticket, ordered another bourbon, put 10,000 on the late game. That was me 6 months ago. So sure, the next bet would fix the last bet. St. Vincent de Paul served dinner at 5 p.m. Line started at 3:30. By the time I learned this, the line was around the block. 2 hours standing in the Vegas sun. No shade, no water until you got inside. The woman in front of me clutched 3 garbage bags like they held gold bars. The man behind me talked to someone who wasn't there. Full conversation, both sides. First time, an older woman, maybe 60. Clean clothes, but worn through. She had kind eyes. "Yeah, I'm Miss Diane. Used to teach chemistry at Rancho High." "Marcus." I managed properties. We all were something. Inside, they served spaghetti, green beans, white bread, apple juice. Calories, not cuisine. But it was food I didn't have to steal or beg for. "Don't sit near Tommy," Miss Diane whispered, pointing to a man rocking in his chair. "He screams sometimes. Thinks the government put chips in his teeth." "Thanks. You got a spot yet?" "Spot. To sleep. Still figuring it out." She drew me a map on a napkin. The good underpasses, the bad ones, the dangerous ones. Which security guards were cool, which were violent. Where the dealers stayed, where families stayed, where single men were safest. "Under the 515 near Russell," she said. "That's decent. Cops don't sweep there much. Don't set up near anyone else. Don't have anything worth stealing. Don't look anyone in the eye after dark." "How long have you been out here?" 2 years. Husband died. Medical bills took the house. School district said I was too old to teach. 62 and too old. She laughed, but it sounded like coughing. That night, I pushed my cart to the 515 underpass. Found a corner away from the others. Laid out the cardboard I'd pulled from behind Best Buy. Wrapped myself in the sleeping bag I'd found in a dumpster. Still trying to pretend this was temporary. The sound of cars overhead was like the ocean if you've never heard the ocean. Someone screamed around 2 a.m. Not Tommy. Different scream. Angrier that I didn't sleep. Just waited for the sun, for the library to open, for another day of the same nothing. My phone died on day 4. No way to charge it. Sarah had probably called. Emma definitely had. But the phone was dead, and so was that version of me. The one who answered calls. Who had a number. Who existed in the world where phones mattered. 3 weeks into being homeless, my body started breaking down. Small things first. Cuts that wouldn't heal. A cough that got worse at night. Teeth that hurt when I tried to eat anything harder than bread. The free clinic was near downtown, open Tuesdays and Thursdays. I got there at 5 a.m. for a 9 a.m. opening. Still 12th in line. The woman next to me had an infected foot, swollen purple and black. She'd been waiting 2 weeks to see someone. The man across from us held his ribs like they were falling out. Said he got jumped for his shoes, but they didn't even take them. Just beat him for fun. Marcus Thompson, a nurse, clipboard, tired smile. The doctor was younger than me. Maybe 35. Clean white coat over pressed khakis. What brings you in today? Everything. Nothing. The complete collapse of my life. Cough, I said. And this rash. He looked at the rash on my arm. Looked at my clothes. Looked at the address I'd left blank on the form. How long have you been homeless? I'm between places. How long? 3 weeks. He wrote something down. Probably delusional. The rash is from sleeping rough. Bacterial. I'll prescribe antibiotics. The cough sounds like early bronchitis. Also antibiotics. Are you able to fill prescriptions? Sure. We both knew I couldn't. Prescriptions cost money. Money required having some. Your blood pressure is concerning. 170 over 110. Do you have a history of hypertension? No. Stress then. Are you able to reduce your stress? I almost laughed. Reduce my stress. Sure, document. I'll just get a house, get my family back, get my properties back, get my life back. Stress reduced. I'll try. He gave me samples. 2 weeks of antibiotics. Told me to come back, knowing I wouldn't. We shook hands, his soft and clean, mine rough and probably still dirty despite my best efforts. The sidewalk outside was where I met Jimmy. You got scripts? He asked. 20-something, face like a knife, eyes that never stopped moving. Antibiotics. I'll give you 20. They're antibiotics. 25. I needed them. The cough, the rash, the infection I could feel starting in my gums. But $25 was 3 days of food. Or 5 days if I was careful. No. Jimmy shrugged, moved on to the next person coming out. Healthcare is commerce. Everything is commerce. That I took the antibiotics for 3 days, then sold the rest to a different Jimmy for $30. The cough came back worse. The rash spread. But I ate for a week. That MY reflection in store windows became something I avoided. When I couldn't avoid it, I saw my father. Not the successful man who bought properties and wore a Rolex. The father at the end, in hospice, body eating itself, waiting for permission to die. Except he had dignity. Insurance. A room. People who loved him holding his hand. That I had a shopping cart and a cough that sounded like drowning. November 17th. Dad would have been 71. Every year since he died, I'd visit his grave. Bring fresh flowers. White roses because Mom loved them and he loved her. Tell him about the properties, the business. Emma's latest dance trophy. This year, I couldn't afford the bus fare to the cemetery. I sat outside the Terrible's gas station on Eastern. The one where I'd lost my last $892. Watch people pump gas into cars they didn't think about. Watch them buy coffee and lottery tickets and beef jerky like money was just paper that never ran out. The grief hit different when you're homeless. Not clean and contained like when you have a house to cry in. It came out sideways, messy, mixed with snot and the cough that wouldn't go away. You okay, honey? A woman, maybe 40. Minivan full of kids. Soccer mom clothes. She held out a $5 bill. God loves you. She said God's love bought a half pint of vodka at the liquor store next door. Another line crossed. 6 years sober from gambling. Longer from drinking. But those were luxuries for people with addresses. The vodka tasted like hand sanitizer and bad decisions. Burned going down, but numbed what needed numbing. Dad's voice in my head got quieter. Sarah's too. Even Emma's laugh, which had been haunting me for weeks. That I drank it behind the dumpster where the cameras couldn't see. Finished it in 10 minutes. The world went soft around the edges, bearable for the first time in months. That's when Derek found me. Jesus Christ, Marcus. He looked good. Clean clothes, recent haircut, truck with working air conditioning. The distance between us felt like miles, even though he was right there. It's my dad's birthday, I said. I know. How? I knew your dad for 20 years. I remember. He helped me up. I wasn't that drunk, but my legs weren't working right. Malnutrition, the clinic doctor would have said. If I could afford to go back. Come on. Let's get you food. I'm fine. You're not fine. You're drunk behind a gas station at 10 in the morning. The Denny's was the same one where he'd given me the 15,000. Same booth even. The irony hurt more than the hangover starting behind my eyes. When's the last time you ate? Derek asked. Yesterday. Real food. I couldn't remember. The shelter meals were real, but not really. Calories to keep you upright. Not food to keep you human that he ordered for me. Grand Slam, orange juice, coffee. The smell made me nauseous and starving at the same time. Sarah called me, he said. Yeah. She's worried. She left me. You left first. You just didn't move out. The food arrived. Eggs over easy, like I used to make for Emma on Sundays. She liked to dip her toast in the yolk, make faces with the yellow on her plate. I can't give you more money, Derek said. I didn't ask. I know, but you were thinking it. I was thinking it. Just 1,000. 500. Something to get inside, get clean, get human again. But Jimmy's college fund was already gone because of me. There are programs, Derek said. The VA has, I'm fine. You're drunk and homeless on your dead father's birthday. When you heard it like that, it sounded bad. But from inside it, it just sounded like Tuesday. Let me drive you to the VA, he said. No, Marcus, I said no. He paid the check. Left a $20 tip on a $30 meal because that's who Derek was. Someone who overtipped, who helped, who still had money to be generous with. I'm sorry, I said. For what? The 15,000. I know. I was going to pay it back. I know that too. Outside, he tried to give me money. 220s. I wanted to say no, wanted dignity more than cash. But dignity doesn't buy food. Thanks. Get help, Marcus. Real help. After he left, I walked back to my underpass. The 200 would last maybe 2 weeks if I was careful. 3 if I was perfect. But I wasn't perfect. Perfect people don't end up under bridges. That night, I used 50 to buy another bottle. Bigger this time. Sat under the overpass listening to cars above. Each one going somewhere that wasn't here. Tommy the Screamer was having a good night. Yelling about the chips in his teeth, the satellites. The conspiracy to control his thoughts. For once, his crazy made sense. We were all being controlled by invisible things. Addiction, money, the past we couldn't change. I raised my bottle to him in a toast. He screamed louder. Happy birthday, Dad. The food bank was in a warehouse near downtown. Industrial air conditioning that made everyone's breath visible. Fluorescent lights that turned skin gray. I'd been 3 times before I ran into Marcus Jr.'s same name. Different lives. He'd been my tenant in the fourplex, Unit 2. Good kid. Worked at Amazon warehouse. Always paid on time, even when they cut his hours. Used to apologize for being a day late like it was a crime. Now he wore a volunteer vest, bright yellow with "Here to help" on the back. Mr. M, I thought about running. Turning around. Leaving the box of pasta and canned corn, preserving whatever dignity was left. But hunger won. Hey, Marcus. I didn't. I mean, how are you? How was I? Homeless. Drunk most days. 40 pounds lighter than when I collected his rent. But those weren't things you said in the food bank line. Getting by. He loaded my box different from the others. Extra bread from the day-old rack. A jar of real peanut butter, not the government kind. Fresh apples someone had donated. His hands shook a little. I heard about the properties, he said quietly. Yeah, I'm sorry. Not your fault. Still, the line behind me was getting restless. Single mom with 3 kids. Old man with a walker. Tommy the Screamer, having a quiet day. I work here Wednesdays, Marcus Jr. said. If you need. You know. Thanks. I took my box, heavier than usual. He'd put a $20 bill under the bread. I pretended not to see it. He pretended not to watch me find it. Outside, Miss Diane was waiting with her cart. That boy knew you. Used to be my tenant. Used to be. She laughed, not mean. Everything's used to be out here. We walked back, toward the underpass together. 2 shopping carts on a sidewalk, invisible to everyone driving past. You ever think about getting out? I asked. Every day. But what? I'm 64. No family. No money. No job history for 2 years. You tell me where I go. Programs. Shelters. Housing assistance. You been to the shelter lately? Rather be under the bridge. At least outside, the crazy stays spread out. She was right. The shelter was concentrated desperation. 50 men in a room meant for 20. Fights over nothing. Theft of everything. Tommy's screaming echoing off walls instead of dissipating into night air. You were military, she said. Not a question. Navy. 2 years. Forever ago. VA has programs. So I've heard. Pride's expensive out here. Everything's expensive out here. She stopped at her corner of the underpass. Had it set up nice. Tarp for walls, wooden pallet for a floor, Christmas lights that ran off a battery she'd found somewhere. That boy, she said. The one from the food bank. He looked at you like you saved his life once. I just didn't evict him when I could have. Same thing sometimes. That night, I counted the money from Derek and Marcus Jr., $220. Enough for a motel room. Enough for a phone card to call Emma. Enough for a lot of things that felt impossible. Instead, I bought a bottle and a flashlight. The bottle for forgetting. The flashlight for the long nights when forgetting didn't work. Lying on my cardboard, I did the math. 6 months ago, I had 3 properties worth $1.4 million. Monthly rental income of $8,500. Business cards with raised letters. Now I had $170, a shopping cart, and a rash that wouldn't heal. The trajectory was clear. The endpoint obvious. But knowing where you're going and stopping it are different things that a couple walked past on the sidewalk above, laughing about something on her phone. Young, clean, in love. They didn't look down. Nobody ever looked down at the underpass. We were just part of the infrastructure. Like the concrete pillars. Like the garbage. There but not there. I thought about Emma. Was she dancing today? Did she quit when the payments stopped? Did she tell friends her dad was traveling for work? Dead? Or did she tell the truth? That he was probably sleeping under a bridge somewhere, everything he owned in a shopping cart? The 20 from Marcus Jr. stayed in my pocket. Emergency money. Rock bottom money. The money that meant I wasn't completely gone yet. But even rocks have bottoms underneath them. And I was still falling. The transitional housing program had a waiting list 6 months long. But the VA had a veterans emergency placement. And after 3 assessments, 2 interviews, and a TB test, they had a bed. Denise, my caseworker, was built like a defensive linebacker and had the patience of someone who'd seen every excuse twice. You're an addict, she said. First meeting. I know. No, you don't. You think you're a guy who made some bad bets. There's a difference. The room was 8 by 10 feet. Single bed, small dresser, shared bathroom down the hall. Felt like a palace after 3 months outside. The sheets were thin but clean. The lock worked. Nobody screamed about government chips at 3 a.m. Rules are simple, Denise said. 90 meetings in 90 days. Weekly check-ins with me. Random drug tests. Get a job within 30 days. Save 70% of what you make. No gambling, including lottery tickets. I can do that. Everyone says that. She was right. First night, I couldn't sleep. Too quiet. Too safe. Spent hours staring at the ceiling, waiting for someone to tell me to move along. The other men in the program had the same hollow look. We passed in the hallways like ghosts, nodding but not talking. Everyone fighting their own fight. Frank found me at my 3rd GA meeting. Old guy, maybe 70, wearing a suit that had been nice once. You're the property guy, he said. How'd you know? You sit like you used to own things. Straight back, hands flat, like you're still behind a desk. He'd lost a chain of dry cleaners to sports betting. 12 locations to 0 in 18 months. I'll sponsor you if you want, he said. Why? Because someone sponsored me when I wanted to die. And you got that look. What look? Like you're deciding whether to fight or float. He gave me homework. Write down every bet I could remember. Every lie. Everyone I'd hurt. The list took 3 days. 17 pages. Reading it was like autopsy results of my former life. Frank read it all, drinking coffee that looked like motor oil. Now what? I asked. Now you become someone else. Who? Someone who doesn't bet. We'll figure out the rest after. The dishwasher job at Caesar's Palace felt like the universe's joke. Minimum wage in the same casino where I'd lost thousands. The sports book 50 yards from the kitchen. You're the new guy, the supervisor said. Puerto Rican woman named Maria, worked there 22 years. Marcus, you know how to wash dishes. Yeah, everyone knows how to wash dishes. But industrial dishwashing was different. 100-degree steam. Conveyor belts that never stopped. Plates from the buffet where people wasted more food than I'd eaten in months. The other dishwashers were all broken in various ways. Carlos, deported twice. back with new papers. Dmitry from Ukraine, engineering degree that meant nothing here. Young kid named Tyler who talked too fast and scratched his arms raw during shifts. 8 hours of steam and spray and the sound of machines. But also 8 hours of not thinking about betting. Hands too busy to hold a phone. Mind too tired to calculate odds. You were somebody before, Maria said during break. Everyone was somebody before. No, some people were always nobody. You were somebody. She was right. I could feel it in how wrong the uniform felt. How my hands still moved like they were typing on keyboards instead of scraping plates. After 2 weeks, I got my first paycheck. $436 after taxes. More money than I'd held in months. Frank made me put $300 in savings, pay $50 to the program for housing, keep $86 for everything else. That's not enough to live on, I said. You're not living. You're recovering. The meetings were every night. Different locations, but same stories. Lost house, lost family, lost self. The details changed: sports, horses, poker, slots, but the ending was always the same. I'm Marcus, I said at meeting 15. I'm a compulsive gambler. Hi, Marcus. I had 3 properties. Now I wash dishes. I keep thinking about the score that would fix everything. There is no score, Frank said later. That's the first thing to understand. The score is a lie your brain tells you. But my brain was convincing. Every night, doing dishes, it did math. With my savings, I could bet. Stop. This is recovery. This is the work. Emma's recital was December 15th. I knew because I kept the flyer, wrinkled and water-stained, in my wallet next to our wedding photo. Sarah had sent it months ago, before the divorce was final, before I disappeared into the underpass. In case you want to come, she'd written. I stood outside the community center for an hour before going in. My clothes were clean but wrong, Goodwill khakis and a polo that fit someone else better. I'd shaved, cut my own hair in the shelter bathroom. Still looked homeless if you knew what to look for. The lobby was full of parents with flowers and phones. Dads who showed up. Moms who paid for costumes. Families that worked. Marcus. Sarah. Beautiful in a way that hurt. She'd lost weight too, but it looked intentional on her. Stress dressed up as self-care. You came, she said. Is that okay? She'll be happy. We stood there, former strangers who'd made a child together. She didn't ask where I'd been. I didn't ask if she was dating. Some information was too expensive. She's in the second act, Sarah said. Jazz solo. She got the solo. She's good, Marcus. Really good. We sat apart. Close enough to be civil. Far enough to be clear we weren't together. The auditorium was dark, safe. Nobody could see what I'd become. Emma came out in purple sequins, the color she'd always loved. Taller than I remembered. Had she grown, or had I shrunk? The music started. Some pop song I didn't recognize. But Emma moved like water, like wind, like everything I'd gambled away was worth it just to see this 3 minutes of perfection. The crowd erupted. She bowed, smiled, searched the audience, found me. The smile changed. Bigger but sadder. She waved, small and quick, just for me. I left during intermission. Couldn't risk her seeing me up close. Couldn't risk her friends asking who the homeless-looking guy was. I in the parking lot. Sarah caught up. She wants to see you. Not like this. Marcus. When I'm better. When I have something. When I can take her to dinner without counting dollars. Sarah pulled out an envelope. $500 in 50s. It's from her college fund. Get a phone. Call her. I can't take that. It's not for you. She left me standing there with money that felt heavier than my shopping cart ever had. 4 months into recovery, I got promoted to prep cook. $2 more an hour and no more dishwasher steam. Maria had recommended me. You show up, she said. That's rare here. Showing up was all I had. Show up to work. Show up to meetings. Show up to being alive when being dead seemed easier. Frank had me working the steps. Made amends to people who'd listen. Derek took my call, but said he wasn't ready to see me. Mrs. Chun had moved back with her daughter. The mortgage companies had their money from the foreclosures. Sarah let me talk to Emma once a week. Sundays, 7 p.m., 5 minutes exactly. Dad. Hey, baby. Are you okay? I'm working on it. Mom says you have a job. Yeah. At a restaurant. Not a lie. Caesars had restaurants. I just worked under them, in the steam and noise where nobody went unless they had to. When can I see you? Soon. You always say soon. I know. The savings account grew slowly. 1,500, then 2,000. Enough for a studio apartment deposit, but Frank said wait. You're not ready to be alone yet. He was right. Alone, I'd bet. The thoughts were quieter now, but not gone. Every game I saw on the break room TV was odds and possibilities. Every conversation about sports was potential information. It never goes away, Frank said. 23 years clean, I still think about it. Does it get easier? No. You get stronger. The program moved me to phase 2. Own bedroom, kitchenette, more freedom. Could have visitors if approved. Started thinking about Emma visiting, then realized she'd see where I lived. A halfway house full of addicts. Better than the underpass, but not by much. Tyler, the dishwasher who scratched, overdosed in the bathroom. Found him blue and cold. Dimitri did CPR until the paramedics came. Tyler lived, but didn't come back. He was doing so well, Maria said. Everyone was doing well until they weren't. That was the thing about recovery. It looked like progress from outside, but felt like controlled falling from inside. My sponsor Frank had a heart attack at meeting 67. Went down mid-sentence, talking about gratitude. He lived too. Barely. I'm too mean to die, he said from the hospital bed. Plus, you still need me. I do. Good. Truth is important. The call came at 3 a.m. Unknown number, but I'd bought a phone with Sarah's money, so I answered. Is this Marcus Thompson? Yes. This is University Medical Center. You're listed as emergency contact for Diane Morrison. Miss Diane, the chemistry teacher from the underpass. Is she okay? She's stable, but she's asking for you. I took the bus. 2 transfers, an hour total. Found her in a bed that made her look smaller than she was. Hey, professor, I said. She smiled. Half her face didn't move. Stroke, she whispered. I figured. My stuff. Where? She gave me directions to her spot. Not under the underpass anymore. Behind a strip mall, hidden spot she'd found. Asked me to get her card, her papers, the battery-powered Christmas lights. The cart was there, but ransacked. Clothes scattered, papers everywhere. The lights were gone. I gathered what I could. Found a manila envelope duct taped to the inside of the cart. Teaching awards. PhD diploma. Photo of her with students, all smiling, all young, all believing she'd teach forever. Brought it all to the hospital. She cried when she saw the diploma was safe. That's all I have left that says I was real. You're real now. No. Now I'm just another old lady who'll die in a welfare bed. She was right. Social worker came by, talked about discharge planning. Skilled nursing facility, which meant warehouse for the dying. Medicaid bed, which meant shared room with someone screaming. I have some money saved, I told the social worker. Are you family? Friend? I'm sorry. It has to be family, or she goes where Medicaid places her. Miss Diane heard. Grabbed my hand with her good one. It's okay, she said. You save that money. Get your girl something nice. She died 3 days later. Alone, because I was at work. The hospital called during my break. I went to claim her things. 1 bag of clothes. The diploma. The photos. No funeral, the social worker said. County cremation unless someone paid. I paid. Took half my savings, but I paid. Had them put her ashes in a teacher's apple-shaped urn I found online. Scattered them at UNLV, in the courtyard by the chemistry building. Figured she'd want to be where she mattered. Kept her diploma. Hung it in my room at the halfway house. Someone should remember she was real. 6 months clean. Frank said I was ready for phase 3. My own studio apartment, subsidized but mine. Address, key, mailbox with my name on it. The apartment was in a complex full of people like me. Recovering addicts, disabled veterans, formerly homeless. We avoided eye contact in the hallways. All of us fragile in our new normalcy. Emma visited the second week. Sarah dropped her off, didn't come up. We had 2 hours. It's small, Emma said, looking around. Yeah, but it's yours. Yeah. She'd brought her laptop, showed me videos of her recent performances. She was better. So much better. The solo at recital had led to competition team, which led to a scholarship offer for summer intensive. That's amazing, baby. It's in New York. 3 weeks. For $1,000, even with the scholarship. For $1,000. I made that in 3 months. Before taxes. I'll figure it out, I said. Mom says not to ask you for money. Mom's probably right. But you're my dad. Still figuring out what that means. We ordered pizza. Watched a movie on her laptop. She fell asleep on my shoulder like she used to when she was 5. I didn't move for an hour, just breathed in her shampoo smell, felt her trust. After Sarah picked her up, I did the math. Doubles, every shift, ramen only, 2,000 by summer. Not enough. The Warriors were playing the Lakers tomorrow. I called Frank. I want to bet. I know. Emma needs money for dance. Emma needs a father more than money. What if I can't be both? Then be the father. Someone else will figure out the money. He was right. I applied for a second job, overnight stocking at Walmart, for hours after 8 at Caesars. 5 hours sleep if lucky. But the math worked. 2 jobs, rice and beans, no extras. For 1,000 by June. Emma could have her summer, even if her father was aging in dog years, existing only to work. But existing was better than not. I kept the shopping cart chained outside the apartment, a reminder. Everything I owned had once fit in it. Could again. Frank told me to throw it away. Why hold on? Because forgetting feels dangerous. A year clean. Got my chip at the Tuesday meeting. Derek came, first time since the Denny's. He looked older. We all did. Proud of you, he said. He offered help with Emma's program. I said no. Some debts can't be repaid. Only carried by June. I had the money. Every penny clean. Handed Sarah the cashier's check. She counted anyway. Trust comes back slowly. The airport send-off. Parents snapped pictures. I stood in Goodwill khakis, holding a 20. For New York pizza. I told Emma. She hugged me. Unashamed. I love you, Dad. Love you too. Baby. I cried in the parking lot. Like grief was a debt finally paid. 2 years since the Super Bowl. Since Kyle's basement. Since the Ravens didn't cover. Carlos told me about the duplex. My first investment. Mrs. Chin's garden. After work I took the bus there. New paint, desert landscaping. The tomatoes gone. A young couple on the porch. I used to own this place. They smiled. Great bones. Just needs updating. I warned them about the Kraken unit too, then walked away. Past Terrible's casino. The lot was full. The house always wins. My phone buzzed. Emma, from New York. Dad. I got a call back. Full scholarship if I get in. You'll get it. How do you know? Because you're you. She laughed. Sirens in the background. Life happening at full volume. On the bus home. Vegas slid by. Casinos, pawn shops, motels, shopping carts. My people. Even if I'd escaped, you never fully leave the underpass. At home. I unlocked my cart. Inside, work clothes, my phone, a ruined business card, senior property manager. Proof I'd had 3 properties. Proof how fast it all vanished. Proof that Marcus Thompson, gambler, father, still exists. I start to roll the cart to the dumpster. The card is in my hand. Almost nothing. I put it back in my wallet, beside Emma's flyer. Lock the cart. Go inside. Make dinner. Call my daughter. The cart stays. Ready if needed, but not today.